Hi folks, Rodney back again with Rodney's Northwest Riding Reviews. Today I'm going to do a walk around video on the 2026 RAV4 LE. This is the first one that we've gotten in, and this is the first time that I've actually seen the Storm Cloud color on the new RAV4. Now the Storm Cloud color first came out on the Grand Highlander, and it's been a big hit. Seeing it in person actually looks a lot better. The color combination that you have with this and the black interior inside actually looks really good. You notice the theme on the new 2026 models is you'll see a lot of black accents. And so you see the black accent up front, you'll have the black accent for the roof rails up top. Of course the wheels are a black, kind of like a charcoal type color. The 2025 model, you saw a lot more chrome on the vehicle. And so this color layout actually looks really good. Now, as far as standard equipment on the vehicle, and I'll run through that here shortly, but the only thing that's been added to the vehicle is this one does have the all-weather floor liners, and that's a $339 option. So your total TSRP is $35,089. Now, fuel economy, 46 in the city, 39 on the highway with a combined of 42. I'll jump in the vehicle here shortly and we'll do a complete walkthrough on not only the Safety Sense 4.0, but then also the new Arene Infotainment system. Let's pop open the trunk here. One thing I really like about the new RAV4 is your LED wraparound lights. Now this being an LE model does have the manual liftgate inside as far as, and back up here just a moment. So these actually go on the back of the seats there to protect the fabric when you have the seats laid down. But with the seat standing up like it is, you're going to have just over 37 cubic feet. With seats laid down, you'll have just over 70 cubic feet. You do have a spare tire underneath. The cargo cover, which is right here, this will actually store down here underneath, and it makes it nice so you don't have to take it out and throw it in the garage to get it out of the way or sit there and collect dust. But you can store it out of the way whenever you need the extra cargo space, and then whenever you want to use it again, you can fold it back up. I'm going to fold the seat down here real quick. So you have nearly a level surface throughout, and as I mentioned, these come up over the top of the backrest here to protect the fabric. You do have air conditioning vents for the passengers in the back row. That used to be a feature that you'd have to go to an XLE or above in order to get. So now it's standard equipment on the LE and all the other models as well. Your hybrid battery sits underneath your second row seating. So the vents you see here is to vent the hybrid battery to help keep it cool. Another standard feature is you do have blind spot monitoring. It's standard on all models for 2026. All right, let's jump inside and we're going to talk about the features, including the Safety Sense and your Arene Infotainment system. Before, the color combination between the Storm Cloud and the dark color interior actually makes it look really good. You have soft touch features here on the padding. Most of this is like a hardened plastic here, but you do have two-tone trim, actually three tones, so you got a lighter color on the armrest versus a little lighter color here, and then of course the darker color up here. Let's go ahead and start it up here. Now, in previous generations, the 225 and before, most of your safety settings were all done in this screen here. Well, now most of your safety settings are all done in the stereo screen over here. And so like I said, we'll get into that here shortly, but I did want to kind of run through the dash here real quick. So the center, and I'm using the arrows left and right here, but if I went to the right, you see now that you have 2 gauges. If I went back, you have 1 single gauge. If I move forward again, you can eliminate the gauge completely. Now, anything that you see here on this side, we have the ability to go through multiple screens, and I'll show you that here briefly. But what you see on the right-hand side is more about your driving assist. So this pertains to your cruise control. It's going to be your adaptive cruise, and then you also have lane trace assist. And so that's what you're going to see that there. You do have the ability to move those features and those settings to where you can see them right here in the center screen. So I'll show you here in a moment. See, now I've moved them there. So now if I was to turn on cruise control, of course I have to be in drive. Now, it's telling me that it's trying to track a vehicle in front of us, but you notice here on the top right-hand corner, I have the ability to change the adaptive cruise. The lane trace assist is turned on, but if I was to hit this button right here, that will turn that feature off. You see that disappear. And of course, if I wanted to completely shut it off, or turn it on rather, I could go in here and I can turn on the adaptive cruise. I can put it on eco mode if I wanted to, but that's set up. Now, you'll notice the 2 brake lights that you see on the back of the vehicle. So as I let off, you see those lights go out. Okay, moving forward, this is your instant fuel economy you see on the right there, and then it will track every minute thereafter what type of fuel economy you're getting. Now, just like on the previous generation, the 2026 model, anything in town, and when I say in town, anything under 55 miles per hour is going to be mostly electric, but anything over 55 miles per hour is going to be mostly gas engine with some assistance from the electric motor. When it comes to the electric motors, you have 1 electric motor up front connected to the gas engine, but then you have 2 electric motors in the back. And so when you're taking off from a dead stop, it will give a small percentage of power to the rear electric motors just to make sure you have traction getting going. But once you do, I'm sorry, let me get out of this here. Okay, once you do take off from a dead stop, once you get over 20 miles an hour, then it starts gradually fading out to will be basically just a front wheel drive vehicle at that point. There's been several people that have talked about, well, I don't need an all-wheel drive and it's just going to take, more gas. Yes, it does cut down slightly. However, the way it's designed, like I said, it's designed to help you get off the line to make sure you have plenty of traction, but once you do, it fades out. And so the nice thing about that is that, it's not putting excess wear and tear on the vehicle, nor are you using, electric fuel, or extra electricity, which would take away from your fuel economy once you get over 20 miles per hour. The other benefit too is that say you're in inclement weather, whether it be snow, ice, or even a rainstorm, because everything's done electronically, it has the ability to shift power to the rear axle, and it can separate one side from the other depending on how much power it needs to try to get traction again. So it's very basically does everything on its own, but it's very nice having those features to help you drive. All right, keep going here. All right, now on the left-hand side of the screen, I'm just going arrowing down. You see tire pressure. Now, these gauges here, this pertains to the all-wheel drive system that I was just mentioning to you. So what you have is bar graphs below the wheels, and it shows you when you go to take off, and of course most people won't care about this, but when you go to take off, it will show you how much power it's actually giving to the front axle, and then if it's dispersing any power to the rear, this will also show up in here. Now, because it is an all-wheel drive system and because it is fully electronic, it's on demand. So as the front tires start to spin faster than the rear, it will automatically engage the electric motors in the back and give whatever power it needs to up to 50%. Once the front axle gets traction again and all tires are moving at the same rate of speed, then it will go on ahead and slowly basically turn off the power to the rear axle. That the settings menu is there. In order to open that up, all you do is you quickly hit the OK button and it opens up your settings menu. So if I push and hold the OK button now, I can go in there and I can adjust scheduled maintenance, rear seat reminder. So with the rear seat reminder, if you have kids that sit in the back, this is nice to make sure you haven't left your kids in the car when you shut the vehicle off. However, if you don't have any kids riding back there and you want to turn that feature off, the benefit by doing so pertains to the number of beeps that you hear when you lock the vehicle. So you can set it up where if this rear seat reminder is still on, when you've gone outside, let's say you open the door to the rear, you close the door, you got in the vehicle, you drove to wherever you're going. Once you got there, if you didn't open the rear door again, when you hit the door locks, it's going to beep 4 times to let you know that, hey, you've forgotten something. Now, if you shut that off, whenever you lock the door, it's just going to beep 1 time. So if that's annoying to you and you don't need the rear seat reminder on, this is where you would turn it off. And in order to shut it off, all you do is quickly hit the OK button. It's going to ask you if you want to reset that. I apologize, we're on scheduled maintenance there. Just quickly hit the OK button to shut off the rear seat reminder, and that's that. All right, so if I push and hold the OK button, we're going to go into the settings menu. You can change units of measurement, you can change language, you go down to meter type. You can specify whether you want just a simple dash with no gauges in it, whether you want 1 gauge, whether you want 2. You can set up where the navigation will show up in there. You can also set up widgets within that. And the widgets are just going to be things that you want to see on the screen at that time. You can go ahead and add widgets for your driving assist as well. And then of course your eco will be your eco indicator. And so that, kind of in a real quick nutshell, that's all you can do on the MIDI screen here. Everything else is going to be stationary and it will remain the same. Now, when it comes to safety settings for your Safety Sense 4.0, it's all going to be done here in the new Arene Infotainment system. And so one thing that is very cool about this, so to begin with, when you want to change the temperature, you have physical buttons here that you can change. It is dual climate control, even on the LE model now, and so that's a big step up. You used to have to go to the XLE model before you would have the ability to change that. You got your auto setting here, you got touch button here for your fan control. You'll notice that anytime you change the fan speed or any other feature, it's going to take it off of the auto setting. So yes, it may come out at 68 degrees, but it may not maintain that temperature unless the auto light is on. So just keep that in mind. Okay. If you wanted to change it, you do have a slide dial right here that you can change it, or you can physically hit the plus or minus button there. But like I said, you do have physical buttons here to adjust it as well. Okay. All right, back on the screen here, you do have shortcuts within this new Arene system. So up here in the past, when we were to touch this area up here, it wouldn't do anything at all. It would show you that your phone was paired up. It would show you that you had communication through satellite. It would show you, if you were using like Siri or something. But now when you tap it, it opens up a screen where you can actually change the driver. So you can set it up as the primary driver. You can set it up as a guest mode. You can turn Wi-Fi hotspot on. Here is showing you what phones you actually have paired up. So if there's multiple people in the vehicle, it will show you whose phones are paired up and which ones are connected. Here's something that's interesting. In the previous generation, you could have multiple phones paired, but only one phone could be connected at a time. Well, now it's different. Now you can actually have multiple phones connected. The way you would do that is if one phone was using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you could set that phone up that way, but then the second phone could also be connected using just Bluetooth. So if you had a call come in with both phones connected, you would be able to answer and make your phone call within the vehicle, depending on the side. You do notice that you've got a microphone over here. You've got one here in the center that you can, which is your noise cancellation, and then you got a second one overhead here above me. So anyway, it's going to pick up your voice on either side of the vehicle. When it comes to adjusting the brightness of the screen, you've got a dial here that does that. You can also currently set on auto, where it will automatically adjust. If it was daylight or you want to put it in night mode, you can do that if the screen is too bright for you, or you can physically just completely turn it off. Now, touching anywhere back in the center is going to turn the screen right back on for you, and then if we go back into that setting again, it opens that back up. Another nice thing is that you have roadside assistance right there. So most of the vehicles now are going to come with a 2-year roadside assistance program. And with this, it uses satellite. So even if you're out somewhere where you have no cell phone reception, you can just click on the button there. It's going to operate through satellite. There will be an operator come on and will ask you whether it's an emergency or non-emergency, and you can just tell them what you need. So even if you're out somewhere where you have no cell phone reception, maybe not even sure where you're at, they can see grid coordinates and they can send somebody to your location. Here, you can connect your iPhone there, and then you also have the ability to connect Android Auto, which you see right over there. All right, now going into the safety settings. So as I mentioned, safety settings always used to be over where the MIDI screen was at, but now it's all done through here. First one here is in your driving assist, and so you have lane departure. So lane departure, when you cross over the line, it will give you an audible alert, or you have the ability to set it in a vibrate mode. There's a little animation that tells you how it operates, and then if you hit configure, then you can make sure that your steering assist is on. Your support timing is a sensitivity level which determines how quickly it helps pull the vehicle back in. You also have obstacle detection, so if something happens to move out into the road, excuse me, it can swerve around that object. So that's part of lane departure. Now, pre-collision system. If you're driving through town and somebody stops out in front of you, it has the ability to take over and stop the vehicle. That's a great feature to have on. Quickly turn that feature on or off. Blind spot monitoring we talked about before. I want to show you because it does look different than what it did in previous years. So now you notice that you have a red triangle in the mirror instead of the yellow or amber looking icons that used to light up there. Safe exit assist, if you're sitting in the vehicle and it's going to be either on the driver or passenger side, it uses the blind spot monitoring. So if traffic is coming, say somebody's about ready to open the door, as long as the vehicle's running or 5 minutes after the vehicle's already shut off, the safe exit assist using the blind spot monitoring will let you know if traffic is coming. Okay, we're going to go back to driver support. So proactive driver assist. So it uses all these sensors and I guess safety items that it has around the vehicle to help you proactively drive. So for instance, let's say you're driving along, let's say there's somebody on the side over there in a bike lane and you're coming up close to that bicyclist. Your car will physically steer over to the left-hand side of your lane to allow them more room, but as you get past them, it pulls back over into the center of the lane. So it proactively helps you drive, and it will alert you and also can take control of the vehicle if it looks like you're not picking up or sensing something that's happening at that time. If you're pulling up to a stoplight, there's a car parked there, and it looks like you're not slowing down fast enough, it can physically take over and slow the vehicle down and make sure you don't rear end them. You can turn that feature on or off. And when it's turned on, there again, it will give you a little animation to show you how it works. You have the ability to set a sensitivity level, either low, medium, or high. You can have steering assist either be on or off. Deceleration assist. turn that one on or off too. And that's it for PDA. Trailer driving assist, if you had a trailer receiver hitch on the back, you could have trailer driving assist on. This one does not have a hitch, so I'm not going to go through that right now. Dynamic radar cruise control. So you have two different settings in this. One is acceleration and the other one is curve speed reduction. So acceleration, let's say somebody's in front of you, you've set your adaptive cruise control, somebody pulls over in front of you and then they slow down, slower than your cruising speed. You're going to keep that same safe distance and slow down with them, but as they move off the highway or speed up again, you're going to go right back up to your regular cruising speed. Well, acceleration determines how quickly it goes back up to the regular cruising speed. Curve speed reduction, as you're driving along, let's say your camera, which is in this box up here, but let's say the camera sees a speed limit sign, and let's say you're driving 70 miles an hour and it's showing the sort of 45 mile an hour curve coming up. Curve speed reduction will help slow the vehicle down if it looks like you're not slowing down fast enough. However, you do have a setting for that as well. So you can turn it completely off if you wanted to, but you've got low, medium, and high. Now, here's what's happened to me in the past. I've been out on the highway, I'm driving 70 miles an hour, there's a person right next to me in the lane, and we see a 55 mile an hour curve sign coming up. My vehicle takes over and starts slowing down the vehicle, and all of a sudden this car that's beside me just keeps flying by at 70 miles an hour because they can still make that curve. That's all fine and good. It kind of catches you off guard in the beginning, but then there's people behind us and they're wondering why we're slowing down when the car behind us, or beside us rather, is actually, driving along at 70 again. So you have the ability to either change the curve speed reduction to a lower setting or completely turn it off. Okay, go back to park assist. Parking assist on this particular model, because you do not have parking sensors, this one, excuse me, uses a rear cross traffic alert. And so that's using your blind spot monitoring system. As you're backing up at a grocery store, it picks up that cross traffic that you can't always see. So there again, you can turn that feature on or off, and it will give you an animation showing you how it actually works. Okay, collision mitigation. We've actually already gone through this, and that was the driving assist that we've shown before. And then notifications. So road sign assistance, and there again, it uses the camera that's in this box up here, but it will read speed limit signs, caution signs, stop signs, crosswalks, wrong way. Seems like there was another one I'm forgetting, but anyway, they will post all of those notifications right next to the temperature on your screen. Now, driver monitor, they used to call this sway warning. If it looks like you're getting sleepy, a picture of a coffee cup, or at least it used to be a picture of a coffee cup, would come up to let you know that, hey, take a break, get some coffee so you don't fall asleep. It may be something different now. Obviously, all these vehicles that we're getting in, most of them have been pre-sold, so we haven't had a chance to really get out and drive them much. So I can't tell you exactly what the symbol looks like, but like I said, it used to be a coffee cup. Okay, so that pretty much takes care of all of your Safety Sense 4.0. Now, we are going to go in and we're going to talk about some more settings that you see here in the dash. So, the first one here, this is going to be your home page. You have the ability to, as you see, you got like one section here and one section here. So you got dual sections like that, or you can actually set it up where you have 3 different sections. So it's however you want to set it up. If you had subscribed to navigation, it would be here. You have your stereo system right here. If you had your iPhone, or Android Auto plugged in here, drive modes. So you got eco, normal, and sport, but then you can also customize. So let me explain that for a moment. So down here, you also have drive modes, which does the same thing. So each time you push it, you're going to notice that it turned green here, and you see it on the screen there. So you got eco, sport, custom. Now, custom is something that's new, and what custom does is allows you to customize what you want. And the reason they do that, let's say for instance somebody likes sport mode. So if I click on sport mode, you see this, the screen is going to go red. You see it over here doing the same thing. But in addition to that, what that does is it uses electric motor and the gas engine in combination, and helps you accelerate quicker. But it also will help your brake response will be quicker, and it also stiffens up the steering wheel, so it's a little firmer and you have a little better feel for the road. So let's say that you wanted to customize and you wanted to go ahead and you can configure, you can set the steering at whatever level you want. So if you don't like it to be firm like it was in the sport setting, you can put it on normal. As far as powertrain goes, you can set in whether you want eco, normal, or sport, so you can actually customize how the vehicle feels and how it operates. When it comes to customize, we talked about what you can actually see in the screens, whether it be 2 or 3, but you can customize what you want in there accordingly. Okay, all right, now going back through. So this one right here, when you are subscribed for the navigation and the remote connect, by clicking on that, that would open up your what they call cloud-based navigation. Otherwise, it's going to have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which works right off your phone. It is a wireless-based system, so you do not have to have a cable plugged in. In your auto settings, and I forgot to mention this earlier, if I click back on this over here, I'm sorry, let me enable the audio here. All right, now in the bottom right hand corner, when you click on those little symbol there for tools, it opens up your equalizer. So this is for your treble, your mid, and your bass. In the higher settings, like when you go with like an XLE Premium that has a JBL audio, or like for instance the XSC model, or even a limited, it's going to have, I think it's 5 or 6 different settings. So it does give you a little more settings in the upper end models, but this is where your treble, mid, and bass is at. Now you also have the ability to set 4 different presets depending on the type of music that you listen to and how you like it. And then of course your balance and fade is all right there. It's all touch screen, so you just move it wherever you want it. Of course, you can pair up multiple phones as we talked about, and you can have up to 2 connected at a time. And then we were back in your settings menu before. For software updates, it does over-the-air updates. So if you click on software, it's currently telling you that your software is up to date. Whenever it's time for a software update, it usually has a banner that will come across the screen to let you know that. And then you can go ahead and start the update. Because it works over the air, you can still operate the vehicle. You don't have to come to a stop. If for whatever reason it needed the vehicle to be stopped, it would start while the vehicle was stopped, and then once you stopped again, then it would go ahead and finalize the update. So, and then of course you can also see an update history that you may have done there. Drive recorder. The vehicle is equipped, and it uses your camera up here, but it has the ability to record 12 seconds before a crash and 8 seconds after a crash. So it is information that you could have. Obviously, Toyota puts it in the system so that they can make their safety items better. But it does create a 20-second clip, and then you can go back and you can see in the library, and it's just like a continuous loop. And you can actually turn that feature on or off. Wi-Fi hotspot, we talked about that briefly. Sound and media is going to be your stereo system. Display, so you can you can basically just turn the whole thing off if you wanted to. Like I said, touch in the center again will turn it back on. You can change the brightness and the contrast, but then you also have the ability to do the same features in this settings right here. Okay, under general, if you needed to adjust the voice assistant, you could do so. I'm going to mention real quick, when a call comes in, if you wanted to adjust the volume of the call, as long as you're in the middle of the call, then you can use the stereo control here to adjust the volume. Otherwise, any other time, you'd have to go in here and use voice assistant to adjust it. And that pertains to your navigation system as well. If you want to change date and time, For the areas that do not have daylight savings time, you do have to physically toggle it on or off, and you notice how it changes the time there, but otherwise you can set it where it does it automatically, or you can set a specific time zone if you wanted to. So that is just a real brief overview of the Arene system. Okay, we've talked about the drive mode here real briefly. I covered that in there. EV mode, when you engage that, now you notice here it tells me EV mode unavailable. And the reason it's telling me that, this is designed to be used in like stop and go traffic. And so it's only going to give you a little over a mile of driving ability as long as the hybrid battery is charged up enough. If it's not, just like you saw there, it's going to tell you it's not available. But once you exceed that or the battery depletes to a certain level, it will go on ahead and basically shut itself off and go back into the regular hybrid system. And so you hear the gas engine come on to go in and charge everything back up. You got trail and snow mode. So in the trail mode, this pertains to the all-wheel drive system. As I mentioned before, it's on demand, so it automatically does everything on its own. However, it's only going to do it in a small percentage basis. So for instance, if you're taking off, it gives you like a small percentage to the rear axle. But let's say you're in a setting where you're going up a steep gravel hill or you're in snow or ice and you want to make sure you have ultimate traction. Well, then you can engage the crawl, or the trail rather, and you notice that it lights up on the screen there. But that will give you a 50-50 split, both front axle and rear axle. And we'll do that up to 25 miles per hour. So once you exceed 25, it will automatically kick itself out of that mode and then go back into the regular all-wheel drive mode. And then, of course, the snow mode, it will take off in second gear rather than first. And it also uses your analog braking system to determine, what type of slippage or lack of that you get there. And then normal is just back in your normal driving system. You do have 15-watt fast chargers here. They're a USB-C plug-in. Downhill assist. This determines, or is basically designed to help the vehicle come down a steep gravel hill or even snow or ice covered less than 25 miles per hour, but it comes down at a rate of speed that it can control on its own. So basically all you're doing is you're steering and the vehicle is doing the rest. You do have the ability to override that system, so anytime you step on the gas, you can speed up or step on the brake and it will slow down. Of course, you got traction control. The default is to always be on. You do have select shift, so you can shift manually if you wanted to. So you just pull it down into drive. You notice the D right next to the 0, but if I pull it over to the left, it has S4. So this gear shift selector is spring loaded. So as I'm going up, it changes the gears. But you can change it at any given speed. You just pull it over, it will automatically go into the correct gear, and then you start shifting from that point forward. Of course, it's got electronic emergency brake. Anytime you put it in park, it will automatically set that. Anytime you take it out of park, it will automatically release it. The hold, some people call it a hill start assist. If you pull up to a stoplight while you're waiting for the light to change, you can hit the hold, which sets a parking brake. You take your foot off the brake. Whenever you're ready to take off, all you do is step on the gas and it automatically releases. In the console, you can open it from either driver or passenger side, or you can physically turn this thing completely over, and you see you can use this surface here to lay things on. The one thing that I don't care about this console is, you see here, so this one isn't quite as bad as some of the others I've seen, but I've noticed when I put my arm on it, it just kind of moves a little bit and makes a little bit of noise. And to some people, that's going to be annoying. You do have, where are they at here? There we go. There's your map reading light on both driver and passenger side. They're a touch sensor. You got your SOS button here. So if you get into an accident, Toyota now has what they call Safety Connect. So in the event of an accident and the airbags deploy, it's going to activate or send a signal to Toyota, and they will try to contact you through the vehicle's system. If you don't respond back within a certain period of time, they'll automatically send an ambulance to your location. Now, that feature is going to be good for 5 years. But let's say you get into an accident somewhere, you've gotten into an accident, but the airbags didn't deploy, you still need emergency help. You can still push and hold the SOS button until you hear it beep. then somebody's going to come on and they're going to ask you, is it an emergency or non-emergency? You can also use this to call for roadside assistance. Place to put sunglasses or eyeglasses there. You do have vanity mirrors with adjustable visors. Down here, you have the ability to adjust the brightness and the contrast on the screen. That's your MIDI screen in front of you. These two buttons right here, for the upper end models that have the power liftgate, one is for the liftgate. The other one that you see right here, this is nothing in the LE model. But when you get up into the other models, I know I've seen it on the XSC and Limited, they have what they call a NFC card. Now the LE model does not come with that, but what the NFC card does, let's say you went out, let's say you either forgot to take, well, let me rephrase that. Let's say your battery's dead on your key fob and you needed to get back in the vehicle. As long as you have your NFC card, you could put it right up next to this little symbol, you hold it there, and then it will allow you to start the vehicle. So there again, the LE model does not come with that feature, so I don't want to confuse anybody, but it is available in the upper end models. Your gas release is down there on the bottom, and then of course you got your hood there for your release for the hood. Okay, you've got your power mirrors for both driver and passenger side. You've got a window lockout button here. Of course, you lock and unlock the doors. I just wanted to kind of glance over the interior one more time. You know, a lot of times I'm not fond of the cloth interior in some of the Toyota vehicles, and this actually looks pretty good. It looks very durable. You know, a lot of times when it's too light color, it's easy to stain. This actually looks really good, and I like the color combinations, even though you have a lot of different, like you got lighter gray, you got darker gray, and then you almost got black up top. And you'll notice that you have same thing here. So this is a soft touch material, and this is of course black hard plastic here. You do not have the Qi wireless charge pad up here, but you do have a cradle here to hold two separate phones there. So, all right guys, I know that video was kind of long, but I wanted to give you an in-depth review. I've done in-depth reviews on both the XSC and then also on the Limited model, but I know that if somebody was looking for an LE model, chances are you haven't watched those other type of videos because of the additional equipment that maybe you weren't looking for. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, any comments, go on ahead and send them my way. Take the time to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and we'll see you in the next one.